Happy January 21st, JLD here, and welcome to MicroStrategy Today. In this show, I have two great videos for you. The first one, we're going to talk about three analysts predicting a $2,100 MicroStrategy price point by the end of this year. Also, they talk about, is the strategic Bitcoin reserve confirmed? They think it is. Also, the other video is all about FASB. Ben Workman goes into detail about FASB and how that's going to benefit MicroStrategy going forward. We also talk about Michael Saylor working so hard for us, his shareholders. We talk about an incredible Bitcoin Refinery graphic that you're definitely going to want to check out, and so much more. But let's kick in with Tracker Tuesdays. And before we actually dive into these numbers, remember, this video is my opinions only. It's not financial advice. And comment below where you're watching from. I love that data. We track that data. Thank you for doing that. So here we are, Tracker Tuesdays, and we have a stock price of $396.50 as of close last Friday. We have a total market cap of over $97 billion. The S&P 500 ranking is 103 out of 500. The daily traded volume ranking, number 6 out of 499. Please don't forget that we're the 103rd or the 100th, number 100 company out of 500, but number 6 when it comes to volume traded. This is why MicroStrategy is trading like a multi-trillion-dollar asset. Don't forget about this tutorial here, this little red button. I interview Radu, and he posted this tutorial here. We go through this whole tracker in detail, all the charts below. It's great stuff. Bitcoin's at about $103,000 at the time of this recording. The total Bitcoin balance is at $450,000 for an ownership of 2.14%. Of course, MicroStrategy is at number 1 of 70 when it comes to corporate holdings ranking, and it will remain there forever. The Bitcoin value per diluted share, $163.97 for a NAV premium against diluted shares of 2.4. So the total cost is $28 billion for an unrealized profit of $18 billion for a 64% return for MicroStrategy. And as you can see, the Bitcoin yield to date is 0.32%. And then here's some really interesting FASB accounting information that is worth checking out. It's going to come into play when we start talking about the S&P 500 inclusion. So let's move on over to some great posts. The first one by Michael Saylor, switching to orange dots to celebrate the inauguration of @Real Donald Trump, the first Bitcoin president. And here's his little Saylor tracker where he changed it over to orange dots. And of course, the size of these dots are signifying the size of his purchases. I think we're going to see another one pretty soon that's going to cover up this little blue line. So keep your eyes out. Michael Saylor also posted the company of the 47th president of the United States just bought 47 million in Bitcoin. So that was a pretty big announcement yesterday that just shows how pro-Bitcoin this government is when the president of the United States bought $47 million in Bitcoin. That's the company of Donald Trump. Let's keep on moving on over here to the Bitcoin therapist who is just showing Michael Saylor hard at work. And I wanted actually to continue to move on to the next post here from Michael Saylor himself again, where he posts, the orange tie is the latest fashion in Washington, D.C. And this is what I'm talking about when I say, isn't it so exciting that we have somebody that's, let's be frank, he's incredibly smart and he is working so hard for us, his shareholders, his equity shareholders. That's you, that's me. And he's getting up every day and he's busting his butt, working with MicroStrategy, working to make his company, the ownership shares that we own, more valuable. On that note, we have MSTR updates sharing. Look at these, the Bitcoin price on US inauguration days. Back in 2013, it was $15. In 2017, which feels so recently, it was $895. In 2021, it was $36,000. In 2025, $103,000. Wow, just kind of an eye opener, I have to say. I wanted to share this post by BitStrategy. Every $1 increase in Bitcoin price increases the value of MicroStrategy's collateral by $450 $150,000. I mean, think about that. Every $1 increase in Bitcoin price, which swings thousands of dollars every hour, it increases the value of MicroStrategy's collateral by $450,000. Assuming a 1-to-1 ratio in collateral to credits, this means each $1 increase in Bitcoin price provides the finance for MicroStrategy to purchase more than 4 new Bitcoin. Wrap your head around that one, pun intended. Wow. I mean, these numbers get crazy. So I love this post. Kyle asks, when MSTR goes to $800 per share this year, how will you celebrate? And MicroStrategist posts, by holding to $8,000 per share. Me too. Me too. Matt says, everything's happening right now is noise. 150,000 is coming quicker than you think. And that's the problem with like being so connected to social media all the time. There's so much FUD. There's so much of that fear, uncertainty, doubt. It's being spread everywhere. Is there going to be an SBR? Is there not going to be an SBR? Is Ross going to be freed? Is he not going to be freed? Everybody is freaking out about everything. And that's why I hope a lot of you just say, you know what? I'm going to wake up. I'm going to let JLD curate the actual posts that matter and the actual news that matters around MicroStrategy. And then we're going to consume that because that's going to allow you, in my opinion, just like it allows me when I curate the stuff, to just step back, zoom out, and realize all this stuff is just noise. And that in 1 year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, we are just going to say, wow, look at how far we've come. And this is that post I mentioned in the intro. This is by Chris. I just love it. MicroStrategy is a Bitcoin refinery that converts raw Bitcoin into wrapped Bitcoin tailored to the needs of different investors. And I'll expand this up a little bit. Here you go. The MicroStrategy Bitcoin refinery. Raw Bitcoin comes in. MicroStrategy says, thank you very much. I'll take as much as possible. And then what does it spit out? For low vol, dividends, convertible bonds. Then we're moving a little to medium vol, equity, levered ETFs, then all the way to high vol options. And then, of course, what is all this? Wrapped Bitcoin. And this right here is essentially the graphic when Michael Saylor broke this down in Q3 earnings report. This was back in early November, where I said, I don't think it's possible to own enough MicroStrategy. The light bulb went on. It was an amazing experience. Luckily, I was already an owner of MSTR before then, but it made me just continue to double down on my conviction and honestly start this channel. So I have 2 videos I want to share with you right now. A couple great videos. One of them is about FASB being explained by Ben Workman. He does a great job with this. And then we have another video about SBR, the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve, being confirmed, possibly, and 3 analysts who are definitely respected in the space all agree on a $2,100 MicroStrategy price targets in 2025. Exciting times. Take it away.
For FASB, so some companies have adopted it already, which is great, right? Companies like Semler, Marathon, right? A bunch of those have adopted FASB already. The change really is, in the past, MicroStrategy's only been able to realize losses on their Bitcoin holdings. So if the value went down, they were forced to mark down the value of the Bitcoin on their balance sheet. And that caused a huge number of issues, right? One, when people like to use automatic data sources out there to get ratios, like leverage ratios. That was part of what started to drive the risky leverage narrative, because the balance sheet never accounted for the fair market value of the Bitcoin. It was always this marked down value of it. So it made them look far more leveraged than they actually were. What's changing now is that at the end of 2024, they're going to mark their Bitcoin up to fair market value, right? So starting Q1 2025, the balance sheet is going to reflect the fair market value of their Bitcoin as of the end of 2024. From that point forward, any appreciation in that Bitcoin is going to show up in the net income on the income statement. So it's going to show up in those earnings. And when you accumulate the amount of Bitcoin that MicroStrategy has, it doesn't need to move very much for that to be a really drastically large number. And it's going to shock a lot of people, because you're talking potentially billions and billions of dollars of earnings every quarter if Bitcoin performs. Now, it goes the other way too. right? Now you're going to start seeing those losses going into the net income as well, which you saw some of that with the indefinite intangible accounting, but not the full amount because traditionally it was marked down already partially. But it's going to go both directions. And so that's going to introduce probably more volatility into the equity as people work to digest what that means. But now you're going to see the impact of this accumulation strategy. And if Bitcoin follows pretty much any of the estimates that you're seeing come out from people, whether you're in the camp that believes it's going to be 175,000 by the end of the year, or I've seen, I think Max Kaiser said 2.2 million or something, right? Like really high. So whatever that number is, right, it could be very impactful to that income statement. And that's going to bring a lot of eyeballs to the strategy now that they're going to see the outcome of what they've accumulated and the creation of the value of what they've accumulated showing up in those income statements. So that's going to be a big deal for MicroStrategy.
I was on a space earlier today, and Bram Canstein mentioned that two Bitcoiners had told him that there is an executive order drafted for the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. Now, I have no reason to think that that's not accurate. But if we just assume hypothetically that that's accurate, I think we're going to $1 million this year on Bitcoin, and I think MicroStrategy's bumping up against $2,100, if not higher. Those prices don't correlate exactly, so you know, if you're looking at a model that you made yourself, I'm just saying I think that's the minimum if you see these nation states starting to FOMO in, and even without that, if you just look at that $100,000 price that we're around, historically, a 10 or 20x per cycle isn't. I mean, that's the historical norm.
And there you have it, another episode of MicroStrategy Today. I really hope you enjoyed. Please comment below where you're watching from. That is great content, and we are collecting all that data. It's very meaningful. And remember, this is not financial advice, nor is what I've been doing every single trading day of 2025, which is purchase $210 of MicroStrategy stock. As you can see here, this is every single trading day starting from the 2nd all the way until the 17th. This is how much I bought, $210. I did start off with one share just to kick it off, but then it's been $210 every single trading day. Here's my cost per share. This is how much I've spent. And you can see my realized gain and losses. Overall, though, this is what you want to look at. I'm overall at, over here actually, total gain 17.23% for $416 to the positive. So 17% increase. Anybody is looking at that if you've dollar cost averaged every single day of 2025. We will see where we are at later in this year. It'll be interesting and having a lot of fun. So as Michael Saylor says, there is no second best.
What's the second best? There is no second best.